Most beginners write 4 border properties, when one line can do the same thing. Before we continue, let me say something. If you've been following these border lessons up to this point, you've already crossed an important milestone. Most beginners only learn the basics of borders, but you now understand border widths, border style, border color, the shorthand property, and even how to control each side individually. That means you're no longer just experimenting with CSS, you're starting to think like a real developer. Up to this point, we've learned quite a lot about borders. We started with border widths and explored properties like border top widths, border right widths, border bottom widths, and border left widths. Then we learned border style, along with its 4 side properties. After that, we discussed border color and its individual side properties as well. We also learned the border shorthand, which allows us to set the width, style, and color for all 4 sides in one line. And in the previous lesson, we explored the individual side shorthands, border top, border right, border bottom, and border left. Here's something interesting. Each of the properties, border width, border style, and border color, accepts up to 4 values. You might remember this rule from the padding shorthand we learned earlier, and if you didn't watch that lesson yet, don't worry, the rule is actually very simple. To keep things clear, let's focus on border widths for the example. When you use one value, that value applies to all 4 sides, top, right, bottom, and left. When you use 2 values, the first applies to the top and bottom, and the second applies to the right and left. With 3 values, the first applies to the top, the second to both the right and left, and the third to the bottom. And with 4 values, each value targets a specific side in this order: top, right, bottom, and left. So the values move clockwise around the box, starting from the top. Once you understand this rule, you don't always need to write 4 separate properties. You can control everything in one line. This same rule also works for border style and border color. Try experimenting with different values and see how each side of the border changes. If you're learning something new here, hit like, leave a comment saying "I got it," and share this video with a friend who's learning CSS. Now that you've mastered borders, it's time to explore another key part of the CSS box model: margin. Margins control the space outside your boxes, and understanding them will take your layouts to the next level. Follow or subscribe so you don't miss it.